You're listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and once again, I have a fantastic guest joining us on the podcast. It's taken me all summer to get him on after I visited his park earlier this year. Took a spin on the new Phoenix roller coaster, which opened in 2021, I believe, 2022. Yikes. Somewhere in there. It's been open, right, Deno? Like
it's been open. It's our third year. COVID kind of messed up the my brain on what year was what year, because we were not open in 2020. So yes, it opened in 2021.
Perfect. Well, at that point, it's still a new-ish, still very shiny, still rides very smooth, brand new roller coaster. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Deno Vourderis of Deno's WonderWheel at Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. Deno, welcome to the Coaster 101 podcast.
Great to be here. I'm a fan, and it was great to meet you in person. It was. I was like, this guy looks like an enthusiast. Let me talk to him. I'm glad I was on the ride that day, and we got to talk for a little bit. And I'm glad we're getting to talk now.
Absolutely, yeah. So I look like an enthusiast. Do I smell like an enthusiast? That's got a negative.
No, I think you had a coaster. I think you had a Coaster 101 shirt on or something. I was like, I know that podcast, but I didn't know you personally. I didn't know you were you. So it was.
It's all good.
It was nice. It was nice to hang.
Yeah, it was earlier this summer. I did manage to my fiance was in a wedding on Long Island. And so I dropped her off first thing in the morning. And then I booked it all the way to the other side of Long Island to Brooklyn and Coney Island to kind of speed run not only your park, but Luna Park next door.
Good priorities.
Listen, she was getting her makeup and hair done, and I don't get to New York far enough in advance. Like one of these things, I just have to get it done. So it's been on the bucket list for a while, and luckily the weather held out that day. It was great. But the first thing I want to know a little bit is, Deno's WonderWheel. It's this iconic Ferris wheel that, it's been in movies, it's been in music videos, it's been in TV. Can you tell the Coaster 101 audience a little bit kind of about the family history of the park a little bit?
So it's a nice history. It's a unique history not really that unique, because Coney Island's always been a place where people came to make a name for themselves, where the American dream was still real. And it was real for my grandfather. It was real for a lot of people. And my grandfather used to go on dates here with with my grandmother. We have pictures of them on the beach as a couple just hanging out. And that's how it happened. He just got on his knee one day and said, "Look, I'm still poor." He always believed he would make it. But one day I will have enough money to buy you that Ferris wheel over there. And that's the ring you're going to get. Because right now I can't really afford to get you a ring. Who knows if he was just, joshing her at the time and just trying to get out of buying a ring. But, it took 30, 40 years later. But eventually my family purchased the WonderWheel in 1983. Before that, he used to sell hot dogs on a push cart. That's how he met my grandmother. He was selling hot dogs on a push cart in Manhattan. And there was another Greek immigrant who was also selling hot dogs. And that other Greek immigrant's daughter was my grandmother. So they used to kind of, hang out. They used to go to the commissary to clean the push cart together. And that's where he met her. Funny story. He used to give her $20 at the end of his shift every day to deposit in the bank, because she was going to the bank for her father. Mm-hmm. And every day, $20, $20, $20. So my grandmother, my future grandmother, thinks this guy is doing great business. He's loaded. $20 was a lot of money in the 40s. They get married. She wants to know where all the money was. He says, I was just doing that to impress you. I would give you the $20 at night, and I'd go withdraw it from the bank in the morning.
Oh, my gosh. That's fantastic.
So that's a little but anyway, that was a little sidetrack, but I thought your audience might appreciate that.
I think you said I think it was the Attractions Group with Don Helbig and Ryan Sir, which I'm not going to plug another podcast, but Don and Ryan.
Hey, they plugged you. I was listening to their podcast last week, and I said, hey, I'm going to be on Andrew's show soon too. So
it's all family, and that's what
family.
We love.
Exactly.
So check
we
that
all
out.
work together, just like the parks.
Exactly.
We all work together.
And you called your grandfather a little bit of a hustler, which I almost audibly laughed at, because just that was your opening line. It was like, yeah, my grandfather, he was a hustler. And it was like, this is hilarious.
Well, he worked hard. He hustled, like using the Webster's definition of the term. But
yes.
But he did what he had to do to get ahead. He was always decent about it. It's not like he ever tried to cheat anybody. And I think that's why he was able to get the WonderWheel, because the WonderWheel could have sold to somebody else for more money.
Mm-hmm.
But he was somebody who, not just him, but, the family, him, my aunts and my uncle and my father, they were decent people. They were looking to make sure that Coney Island was preserved and safe. And, back in the day, Coney Island wasn't the greatest place to visit. There was crime, it was dirty. And I think the owners saw something in my family of what is happening now, a future that's a lot brighter, a lot cleaner, a lot more family oriented.
Right. And I know I want to ask you now about you personally. I mean, you to me again as someone who kind of is in this hobby, listens to the podcasts, and you kind of popped up around the time that Phoenix was opening on Coaster Radio, and apparently you're a lurker in the roller coaster subreddits and all
Who,
these.
me?
Who, you? I don't know. I mean, what's your personal story? Have you always been part of the family business? Have you always been a big theme park, junkie, roller coaster enthusiast? Like, what's your personal story?
So less with the roller coasters, but my family, I was always here. My first job was soft serve ice cream in my family's store. I was horrible at it. I think I just wanted to be there to eat some of the ice cream. But that's where we were. We were in the snack bar. We were, working in quotes. I was still too young. But ever since I was old enough to push a dark ride car onto a track, which was probably around 8 or 9 years old, I would spend my summers here working. And then after I finished high school, I started doing, more of the maintenance side of things. After college, I took on our kiddie park's maintenance. And now that we have the Phoenix, my father had to grab the kiddie park again, which he isn't always happy about, but he's very good at it. And I take on the Phoenix responsibility. That's my primary now. But we all kind of work together. We've always have. We always will. And I'm more the maintenance side. That's kind of why I was never around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still my 99.7% of my job is still the maintenance side. That's what I was doing this morning. Like I said, I was at Zamperla early in the morning picking up parts. But because we're not too far from Booton, and I actually live near there. So
nice. Okay. And I mean, we don't have a video component to this, but you are sitting in the maintenance shop at.
Yep, that's my toolbox back there that you can't see. The big snap-on toolbox with all the metric side and standard side. Just like our rides are both American, and the Vekoma is from Europe, so it's metric. A lot of our Zamperla rides are metric. So you need a really big toolbox.
I love it.
So yeah, we're in the maintenance shop. This is where I live.
That's fantastic. And I want to talk a little bit about the WonderWheel, but first I want to kind of get into the coasters a little bit of Deno's WonderWheel. You guys do have 3 roller coasters. They were supposed to, or 2 of them were supposed to open as part of the WonderWheel 100th anniversary in 2020, and right, 20, yeah.
So
again,
2020,
COVID
messed us up. Yeah, so I think I can't even remember. I don't think we would have made Phoenix for 2020 because it's a custom design, and it took a little longer. It's hard to say what would have, what wouldn't have. I'm pretty sure that would have still opened in 2021. It would have probably opened by Memorial Day if it wasn't for COVID, and which was our original target day. We had a lot of delays, but even through all the delays, we were only, we had months of delays. We were supposed to start construction in October. We didn't start until February. And we still were only 30 days off from our originally opening day. So we did pretty well with that. And that's a testament to, like I've always give credit to where credit's due. And that's a testament to the people who installed the coaster, Ride Entertainment, and Vekoma, who built the coaster, who were, we all worked really well together. And me, somebody who really didn't know what they were doing. I can't wait to build another one, because now I feel like I know what I'm doing now. Before it was a lot of learning. And now I feel like I'm ready to build something bigger and better if the opportunity ever presents.
That was like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and then you walked it back really quick. So we're gonna keep that. We'll keep that.
No, there's nothing. But I think when you're in this business and you're really passionate about this business, you're always thinking ahead.
Yeah,
and you always dream, because one day a dream might become a reality. I remember when I heard about Dollywood's coaster, I'm like, man, I wish we can do something like that.
Yes,
and then they did. They invited us over to check it out. We had lots of. I mentioned this before, but we were talking to RMC, and Six Flags Fiesta Texas brought us over to check that out. long story short, we ended up going with the Vekoma. But yeah, everyone in the parks. That's one thing I have to say is everyone from A to Z, from Arm to Zamperla, let's say, is always kind and gracious. And even if you don't go with their product, you stay friends. You know, we all talk to each other. We all work together. Like I always say about us and Zamperla, we don't compete, we complement.
Yes. Okay. That makes sense. And then you've also got the Sky Flyer, which I rode on the IAPA show floor in 2019. Could be the smallest coaster I've ever ridden with less than 100 feet of track.
How about those laterals, though, huh?
Uh, the laterals, the knees, my knees. I'm not a tall guy, and my knees are up to my chin on that train. So,
yeah, it's a medieval torture device for anybody over like 5 feet.
Yeah, and then you've got the classic Dragon Wagon, the Sea Serpent from E&F.
That's
Myler.
Right. That's where I learned about coasters, though. I owe Myler a huge debt because that's where my love of maintenance of roller coasters started. Myler was the first major thing that I took on, and we're still very close with that family. We were talking to them about a high Myler, but yeah, that's where I said, oh, this is how it works. This is how to do maintenance on them, and I still love working on that ride.
For the uninitiated, how complicated? I mean, the coaster itself seems pretty straightforward, but for somebody who doesn't speak maintenance lingo, what's it like, maintaining a coaster like that that's, been at the WonderWheel for, 25 years next year? What's it like maintaining a Dragon Wagon?
So they get completely disassembled. I mean, I can send you pictures. Nuts and bolts, bushings, everything gets taken out. Every single nut and bolt gets taken out of the carriage, the bogies, and they all get NDT'd, which is non-destructive testing. So we put them in like a little oven, and it bakes the first layer of paint off, and then we clean them off, and then they get hooked up to a big magnet, and any cracks or problems in the steel, these little fine metal particles get attracted to that crack, and then you can see them through the subsurface of the steel. So that gets done to every part of the Myler every year, and then we put it all back together. I usually have to, I find some bearings that start to go, and it's good to do that winter maintenance because that's why that Dragon Wagon has a 99.999% uptime, is because we take it apart every year. We make sure that any bearings that might be bad get changed before they get bad. We check the polyurethane wheels to make sure they're not starting to delaminate. Eventually, you're still going to get some delamination. We usually catch that in the morning maintenance, and we change the wheel, and that's how you keep your stuff running.
I love it.
But it's great. Who gets to say they get to do that kind of thing? It's a lot of work, though.
Right.
And it's not like we have a night crew and a day crew. It's just us. It's just my family. So we're always here all the time. In fact, when I was at the Zamperla shop today, the parts guy looked at me. He goes, "You look tired." I was like, 30 more days. 30 more days.
You got this. You're wrapping the season. And one thing that I've, in listening to interviews with you in the past, and again, go check out the Attractions Group, go check out your time on Coaster Radio. You've been on there a couple of times. You're extremely proud, and rightfully so, of the uptime of your attractions. I know Phoenix has never had any downtime. The WonderWheel is still using,
knock on wood.
WonderWheel
2's never had it's 103 years.
Right.
And sometimes we'll see a wheel that's starting to delaminate and we'll shut it down. We'll measure it. We'll get another, because the hardest thing about the wheel is every single wheel on every single carriage is different. Mm-hmm. No two are the same. It's nuts. They built it like, okay, this wheel's got to be cast this way. So they're all different. So we have a couple wheels on the shelf, like 4 or 5 wheels that are kind of in the middle, and then we have to make it up with washers to get the wheel the same. Then that wheel comes out, gets recoated. Because one thing that we did when we took over, my father did, is he put polyurethane on the wheels, mm-hmm. which makes it a lot quieter, but it also protects the steel. So we'll go a couple rotations. We'll see that it's starting to delaminate a little bit, and then we'll stop it. We don't even have to unload it. Or sometimes we'll unload it if we think we're going to have a hard time. We'll switch that wheel out in less than 5 minutes and get the wheel back open. So in 103 years, aside from a blackout or two, the wheel's never been down for more than 10 minutes.
Wow. And I mean, that and COVID, blackout and a pandemic. Those are the only two things.
Pandemic, yeah. But mechanically, it's, aside from routine maintenance, we've We've never been down. Sometimes it takes us a little longer to get open because it is a very extensive maintenance check in the morning. So sometimes
Mhm.
we're a little past 12. That's why the wheel opens at 12. The rest of our park usually opens at 11. We just take a little longer. But you take that extra hour in the morning to ensure that you're not going to have a breakdown throughout the day. But
Right.
yeah, it's the one thing that we can control. I always tell my wife, there's so many things in life that you can't control. You control what you can control, and then you deal with the rest as it comes. But keeping your rides running, doing your maintenance properly is something that we can control.
Yeah. And, it is, like you said, it's 103 years old. And, it's not like you have the erector set of parts like from modern manufacturers. It's like you can't call Zamperla, you can't call, Ride Entertainment for like a stock WonderWheel part.
Nope, they all have to be cast and made here. In fact, the wheels are original. They're 103 years old, those wheels.
Holy
We
cow.
just recently made, because UPS or FedEx, whoever we sent them out with, lost 4 of our wheels. So they wanted to put a value on it. We're like, there is no value. They're whatever. So we had a couple wheels cast at a machine shop where we do make parts, and we're playing with those as backups now.
Oh
But
my gosh.
but yeah, I know. I'm really hoping those come up one day. Sometimes, a couple years later, they come up like, hey, we found your wheels.
It's like, great. Where have they been? Like,
They're
it
they're
is
heavy.
wild.
They're cast. They're not aluminum. They don't have like those little neat, round circles that you see in roller coaster wheels nowadays. They're solid blocks of steel, so they're heavy.
Yeah. And I know the Wonder Wheel itself, it's got the 8 kind of more traditional carriages that are stationary, but it's also got those, again, the moving, swinging cars, which to me is
Yes.
terrifying. I did not get the chance to experience the wheel when I was there earlier this summer, but just looking at it and watching those cars swing, that could be probably the most terrifying ride on Coney Island. I mean, not terrifying in like an unsafe sense, but just the most unsettling ride.
It's definitely an experience, and that's what I meant by wheels. I'm sorry, I didn't explain myself, but the Wonder Wheel does have those. It's not really a roller coaster because it's not an RCDB, but it is. It's gravity. It goes up. It's a lot like if you Google a Leonardo da Vinci perpetual motion machine.
Mhm.
That's where they got the idea for the Wonder Wheel. So the swinging cars go up and then they slide down kind of an oval roller coaster track, and those are the wheels that I'm talking about that we have to change. Each car has 4 wheels. And it's really funny because I was looking at the wheel and thinking about like, now that I have more knowledge of roller coasters and you learn about the first inversion, the first upstop wheels. The Wonder Wheel has upstop wheels. In 1918, they designed it with upstop wheels.
Whoa.
So that could change a little bit of history right now because it's technically, I mean, you could say it's on a roller coaster track, though it's not a roller coaster. But if you look at the wheel, you see there's these little upstops underneath them. They're not wheels per se, but there's like a mechanism there in case the wheel gets caught up that it won't fall off the track.
And
So
it's
it's just
only
a safety thing, but
and
it doesn't need it. But it was just something that they thought of and said, "Hey, let's just put these here just in case." And it's an upstop wheel.
I love it. And it's only slightly shorter than the Skyflyer, so it could be a roller coaster.
Exactly. I was going to say it's more of a roller coaster than the Skyflyer, but
Hey, creds are creds. We count them where we can count them. That's
Hey,
the
here's
best.
something: if the Wonder Wheel ever does become a roller coaster, and because there's 16 different cars that swing, is that 16 different credits because each one's slightly different?
See, now we're getting into the place where
No,
roller coaster.
now we're just nerding out. That's it.
We really
That's,
are, but that's
Okay.
kind of the point
Moving
of this
on.
podcast.
Moving on.
Okay, man. Now I got to think about 16 new credits at Deno's Wonder Wheel.
Now it's worth the trip. No,
Yes.
that's why it's a Ferris wheel. It's not a Ferris wheel. It's a hybrid, but let's just say it's one of a kind. It's neither or.
This is true. I love it. And, you did touch on it a little bit earlier, but the way Dino's is kind of situated, you're surrounded by Luna Park. And I know, everybody wants to kind of create this rivalry between the two of you. And when I've heard you speak about, Zamperla and Luna Park, it's more of a friendly relationship, almost a partnership, but not quite. You guys
Yeah.
support each other. Can you talk
I
a little
think-
bit about that relationship?
Well, like I said before, I think the two of us work best when we work together. I think we're all sharing an island, and we're not going to vote each other off this island. We're going to work together to preserve this island and make it as good as it was. And I think we're in the process of making it even better. like I said, it's when we open that roller coaster, when we open the Phoenix, the first thing that we thought of is what can we do that's not going to hurt our neighbors?
Right.
And we go through their extensive catalog and see all their coasters and say, well, they don't really do suspended coasters. So that was one of the reasons why, because it's a small plot of land. Eurofighter would have fit perfectly.
Yes.
But that would really be a bad move. Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was thinking. Kind of a move to do to our neighbors. So I was like, no, we're not going to do that to them. That's not what we want to do. We're going to complement, not compete.
Yes.
So you can tell Zamperillo's leaning more towards the thrill market. You can obviously now with Top Thrill 2.
Mm-hmm.
And, we knew that that's the direction they were going for. So we said, let's let them do that. And we'll focus more on the family stuff. And that's why our park has focused more on, 40-inch height requirements in Phoenix, which is actually 39 inches. So we decided that would probably be the best bet. This way they can, do what they're doing and we can do what we're doing. And maybe one day we can even work closer together and do it together.
I love it. Phoenix, there was an article I wrote after visiting Coney Island. I ranked all 11.
I saw that. And I agree with a lot of you saying, even that, I was like, Cyclone's still number one. For me, Cyclone's still number one. I'll let you speak. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're good. Phoenix to me was my favorite. And Cyclone, for historical reasons, sure, it's number one. I am someone of a larger size, and the way the restraints fit on the Cyclone, where I was, they were like, you're not going to fit. I was like, push a little bit harder. We're going to fit. I'm not coming all the way to Coney Island and not riding the Cyclone. And
no,
I fit.
100%.
I fit, but it was just like, so I took smoothness into account. I took, comfortability and things like that. But, the Phoenix, again, the custom built family Vekoma coaster, family invert, what was it like kind of working with Vekoma to kind of, as you mentioned, space comes at a premium on Coney Island, especially in your little plot where the WonderWheel is, where you've crammed something close to 20 attractions in what equates to maybe a quarter of a city block.
Yeah, basically.
What was it like working with them to kind of put as much roller coaster in that space as you could possibly fit?
It was great. So we went through, I'll nerd out with you a little bit. We went through different iterations of the coaster. In fact, the first draft that Tony, the designer, did, who's excellent, by the way. I mean, the Vekoma's got some really great designers and people and maintenance people. But the first thing that we tried to do is put the Phoenix more of like the SFC 400 that you would see like in Fun Spot, that kind of just spread it out our entire park and have the rides going around the Phoenix, like different spots the rides would go. And New York is weird with permitting. The permits in New York are very difficult. So it just became easier to put everything on one piece of land, because even though we owned the entire section, they were technically two different lots. So if we were to cross the Phoenix into the other lot, it just would have been a little more of a reason for them to say no, or it would have been a more lengthy process to combine the lots. It would have taken probably 5 years. So we're like, let's, so then Vekoma said, okay, well, I don't know if we could do it. I was like, well, see what you can do. I don't mind tight turns. Make them as tight as you can make them. In fact, as long as we can keep a 40-inch height requirement or 39-inch height requirement, then make those turns tight. People will deal with it. And the enthusiasts will like it. So then they sent back one, and I was like, well, can you make that one a little tighter? And then they sent back another one. And they said, all right, that's as far as we can go. And that's one thing I like about Vekoma is they're not going to push their envelope to a point where it's going to be lead to downtime. So I even said that. I was like, push it as far as you can go, but give us that margin for error. I don't want to have any problems with this coaster. I want it to run 100%. I'm good with my maintenance. I'll do my job, but make sure that you make it easy for me to do my job. So I think, the collaboration between us it really was great. I've said this before. I said this on the Ace podcast. I mean, we're looking to put something in the kiddie section right now to try to revamp that. And maybe some good gravy would be great. I don't know, something like that. But we can't right now. But
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that
Absolutely.
your listeners will say that. But we were really trying to find a way to cram that in there. like you said, we really don't have the space, and our kiddie section is on an elevated platform. So in order to put footers in there, you'd have to go below the platform. You'd have to cut through the platform. It just doesn't. It would have to be a stand-up base that doesn't have too many G's. So, but you can dream.
That's right. And that elevated platform, is that the part of the park that's above your maintenance shop?
Yes. So where I'm at, above me, because I'm kind of, I mean, we're not Disney, but it's very similar. So above our maintenance shop and our storage area is our kiddie section. So underneath our kiddie section is where we have our lathes, where we have our welding, where we have our painting, where we have our machine shop, where we have where we take our breaks. It's like a little city under here.
I love it. How big is the maintenance staff other than you? Is it a couple of people, or how big of a staff are
we have? It's me, my cousin, my brother, my father, and then we have our welder. I mean, we're all family at this point,
Yeah.
So we've all been to each other's weddings and graduations and events. So I'd say we have a core of like 10 people that are here year round.
Okay.
That are family, if not through blood, through love, through years and years. And, we're all family at this point.
Yeah. And prior to my, current full-time job, I actually used to work for a family company. And so everybody asked me, what's the family dynamic like? And, fortunately for me, when I was working, with my dad and my younger brother, it was all good. I mean, we were super, our work complemented one another very well. I'll ask you though, what's the Vourderis family and extended non-Vourderis family? What's the family dynamic like working, with your family in such close proximity, close quarters?
We all really do get along. Like, I mean, even when I moved out of my parents' house, I moved out across the street. So it's like, so now that I got married and have kids, I live farther away. But that's why I appreciate this job even more, is because if I didn't have this job, I wouldn't see them as much. So we all work together really well. And even when we're not here at work, we try to make time to get together for dinner. We really do not just love each other, but enjoy each other's company, which I think helps. Mm-hmm. So we each have our roles in the park, but they're not exclusive roles. Like my uncle does a great job of checking that roller coaster, the Dragon Wagon. I mean, he can hear things on that thing that I can't even hear. He'll tell me, he's like I hear something on that thing. I was like, oh, let me go look. I'm like, you're right. There's a bearing that's starting to go. We're going to change it right now. Wow. So we all, and that's not, my uncle's more the office person, but there he is out there doing inspection, and I'm the maintenance guy, and here I am talking to you. So.
Well, it was happenstance. When I was riding the Phoenix, you came up to me, you saw the Coaster101 on my shirt. We started talking, and I was like, this voice, it rings a bell. It sounds a little bit familiar. And so I was like, are you Deno? Like the Deno? And he's like, yeah. So yeah,
I'm one of them. Why?
Yeah, you come from a long line of Denos.
Like my Big Fat Greek wedding, George, Deno. Like we're all named after my grandfather. So
I love it. Well, okay. You mention the wife and kids. How old are your kids?
So I have a 7 and a 4 right now.
Okay. So is the 7-year-old?
He loves the coasters. He loves them.
Does he think you have the coolest job in the world?
Yes. Okay. Loves it. Take your kid to work day might have been my favorite day on this planet so far. Mm-hmm. And I mean, yes, the day I got married, the day he was born, but like on a different kind of level, bringing him to work with me, and we were changing these little parts on the Phoenix. We were working on the lap bars. We were changing these little coils on them, and I mean, I get teared up thinking about it. It was just not just that he was into it, but he's got that brain. Like, I'm proud that he's got that brain to be able to figure stuff out. Like, I'll tell him, like, all right, so we have to take this panel off. Which screws do we have to take off? And he's like, well, what about this one and this one? I was like, you're right. Those are the ones we have to take off.
I love it.
Here, take them off. And he's 7 years old. He's sitting there with the ratchet. He goes, oh, this is a nice ratchet, Dad. I was like, yeah. He knows what a ratchet is. Couldn't be prouder.
That's awesome.
And then we finished, and I put him on that seat, and he sent him out. There we go. It was tested, and it worked.
Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Has he started like just willy-nilly promising like, fun cards or whatever your in-park currency is to like teachers and friends? It's like, yeah, come over to Deno's WonderWheel. You can ride for free.
Not yet. I'm sure when he's older he will. But
okay.
but not yet. Right now, he just wants to come work. I mean, he just wants to spend time because the one problem is I never see my family.
Right.
I mean, in the winter, I'm 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. I have weekends, but in the summer, I'm 7 days here, and I usually get to see them for like 10 minutes in the morning, and then I'm usually home like at 1:00 in the morning. So I never get to see them. So he just wants to come to work with his dad, which is, I got to enjoy it while I got it. Who knows what's going to happen when he's a teenager? That's
awesome. I love that. Okay, I want to talk now a little bit, kind of. As I had this ride on the Phoenix, I was the first rider of the day, sat in the front row, and you said, "Hey, come on, you're the first rider of the day. I'll let you ride in the back when we're done." And I was like, these are two entirely different rides in the front and the back.
Yes, they are.
Obviously, the forces in the back, you get the speed and the visuals in the front. There's that kind of that overbank turn kind of midway through the course that just, to me, for a family roller coaster, absolutely blew me away. But after I got off the back, you were talking, and you're like, I just ordered this part. I haven't even told my dad and my uncle that I just ordered this part.
They still don't know. Shh.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. No, you can let it go. That's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
You'll find out eventually. But yeah. So what I said it was, the only issue I have with this ride is it's too short.
So with this part, we're working with Vekoma to.
Possibly, if it's feasible, and this is something that has to go through a lot more testing first, is to do 2 laps.
I love it. And
so, there's some concerns. I have to make sure that people, it's intense for a lot of people. Like a lot of people after 1 lap are like, "Get me off, get me off, get me off." So we got to see, what it's going to be like. Are people going to panic on their way in? Are they going to try to remove their seatbelt? Which, even though you take the seatbelt off, you're still locked in with the hydraulic cylinders. But it's stuff that we have to go through and test and figure out. But yeah, in my head, we're going to be going around twice at the end of the year.
Okay.
And just experiment with it and see how it works out.
And Deno's uncle and dad, you didn't hear any of this.
No, nothing. Well, we're gonna try it out because it's their call, not mine.
Understood.
But I think if it does go around twice, I think then we've got a serious contender for not just not number 1 coaster in Coney Island, but an experience that's different but worthy of the Cyclone, which I think it is now, but I think it's just a little short.
I think, Coaster101.com, the definitive ranking of all Coney Island roller coasters, ranked at number 1 already. So maybe that was just, I was a little biased. I don't know. It's just,
maybe we were hanging out, we were talking,
That's right. But I'm telling you, it's a fantastic ride. I think it's
definitely fantastic. And here's something, and if your users want to comment, because I look at everything. What would you guys prefer? A super smooth coaster that has less forces, or a coaster with a little bit of character, still smooth, but has more G forces? Because that's something that I'm going back and forth with maintenance wise, is if I tighten up the tolerances on those bogies, I can get it butter smooth. But then the coaster will probably take 68, 69 seconds to go around the track. If I do it the way I like to ride it, it'll be 65 seconds around the track. And then you get off like, whoa, what just happened for a family coaster? So,
yeah.
And that's something that, you try to find a happy middle. I think you don't want it too out of control, but you're too smooth sometimes is a little boring too. So that's something I'm just curious to see what your followers say. If you guys want to comment on that.
If you're listening, tweet us or Zeta us or whatever you do on Twitter now, or X or whatever it's called.
X us. I don't like the way that sounds. X us.
Yeah, it's always going to be Twitter to me. But let us know. Tweet us Coaster101 and let us know on your thoughts of speed versus G-forces. And we will relay those to Deno. And, he's got somewhere the sweet spot between 65 and 69 seconds. And, if the ride goes 65 seconds, maybe that's, as that adds up, that's 1 or 2 more cycles during the day. Who knows?
We'll see. Because when you rode it, it was kind of in that sweet spot. It was still smooth. And what's your opinion? I mean, you rode an empty train, so empty trains tend to be a little more rattly than the full train. So you still felt it was smooth.
I thought it was super smooth. And I think, for a family roller coaster, I think this is it's one that not a lot of people are talking about. Obviously, a lot of people talk about Dragonflyer at Dollywood because it's a Dollywood.
It's a fantastic coaster, too. It really is. I wish we had that first drop. So
Yes, it's okay. There are other things that you've got going on at Deno's WonderWheel that kind of, there's no cinnamon bread, but that's another.
we've got hot dogs.
Hey, I love it. So, and again, that goes all the way back to the family history. So you've come full circle here.
Exactly. It always started with the Franks.
It's perfect. All right. Well, we're coming up on National Roller Coaster Day, which to the enthusiast hobby is, for a lot of people, is an excuse to go out and visit the theme parks. Do you have anything up your sleeve? I think this episode will release just ahead of National Roller Coaster Day. So if anybody in the New York area has any, or doesn't have plans yet, Deno, do you have any plans for the greatest holiday in the coaster enthusiast hobby?
Absolutely. We can't let National Roller Coaster Day go by unnoticed. So we're going to do Phoenix is usually 10 credits, depending on the package you buy. That could be anywhere between $7 and $10. But on National Roller Coaster Day, we're going to lower it to $5. So it's going to be $5 Phoenix before 5. So before 5 o'clock, we're going to charge, and I'll probably extend it,
Hey,
why not?
exactly.
But officially, it's going to be $5 or 5 credits. So that could be anywhere between like $3.50 and $5, depending on the package you buy, to ride the Phoenix before 5 o'clock on National Roller Coaster Day. So there's a reason to come out.
There really is. And again, go back to that ranking on Coaster101.com. The best roller coaster, according to one writer who happens to also host this podcast on Coney Island, is the Phoenix at Deno's WonderWheel Park, for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm working hard to try to keep it smooth and balanced. And, it takes time. But, when I see people come over who, like you, who know what they're talking about and appreciate it, it makes what I do, I appreciate it. It makes what I do worth it.
Good. And again, it was really, again, you just you came up, you talked to me, and I was like, that voice it's ringing a bell. For you just to kind of come up to me and be like, hey, you're a coaster enthusiast, why don't you go ride in the back? Just let me know what you think. At the end of the day, a lot of these parks, you have to make a bottom line. And, that second ride was a potential, $10 in your pocket that you just kind of let slide. Again,
look, I value your opinion. I value people's opinion who seem who know what they're talking about. So I wanted to know, do you think it's still smooth? Because, I try, it's easy when you're born into a family that's as privileged as mine to, poo-poo and, let them eat cake. And, and I think, when we were building the Phoenix, even, I asked the coaster community, hey guys, what do you think? What should we do? And, the Phoenix is here because of all of you, because I listened to what you all said and said Vekoma's building some great stuff right now, and maybe you should give them a shot. And hey, these turns are great. That overbank is great. This feels good on this element. And, I tried to incorporate as much of that as I could when I asked Vekoma to design this thing. And I think Vekoma does the same thing. I think they listen to the coaster community, and that's why they're putting out some great stuff.
For sure. How often are you lurking on the roller coaster subreddit? Is this a hobby?
It's during COVID. I think I've seen every post ever. Because I was home. Now It's harder. Now I check it like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. I just scroll through real quick. But it's like fun for me. It's I want to see what's going on. It's you guys are like my friends. In fact, we're having the Ace Preservation Conference. It's just going to be, you help me. I think it's 25th, 20. It's the 27th here in Coney Island, I think. I don't know. It's that Sunday.
That sounds right, but I'm going to look this up while you continue to talk about it, and I will get the exact date for you.
And I told Ace when I was talking to them, I said, it feels like I get to have my friends over after school, because I just when you came over, it was just fun to hang out and just talk about something that I enjoy talking about with somebody who seem to also enjoy talking about it. It's just a fun thing. And sometimes you have to do that at work. It's one of the privileges I have, is being able to talk to people, meet people. Yes. I get 10 seconds with 10 million people in my life. And, that's 10 million opportunities to make friends.
What a mindset. That's just it's refreshing to hear. And again, my summer has been a lot of one-off rides. It's been some corporate parks. It's been some family-owned parks. And that mindset is something that I truly appreciate, because you have those 10 seconds to make that impression. But you're always about, what can I do to make this impression better, and what can I do to make the park better? Which was, it came through in our brief conversation then, and it came through in our brief conversation now. So this is, I mean, what a mindset,
Well,
and I just applaud you for that.
it's not just me. I think it's a lot of people in this industry. I mean, when you talk to Jeffrey Seabird at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, he did that to me. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
somebody I was a stranger, and I'm sitting in his office, and he's just saying, "What do you think about this ride? What about this ride?" I'm like, man, this is a good person. And
Mm-hmm.
same thing with Dollywood, and same thing with the folks at RMC and the folks at Chance and Zamperla and Myler, and I mean the whole industry.
Yeah.
Gerschlauer, Ride, I can go on and on. Everybody has always been so kind, and I think you got to pay that forward. I think the one thing that our industry does that's so important, especially now, is just get people to be kind to each other again. Because there's forums now where you don't actually see somebody, so it's easy to hate them. It's easy to
Mm-hmm.
disagree with them. It's easy to say, "Well, that person's dumb," or "That person doesn't know what they're doing." When you go to a park and you actually have to physically be in a space with somebody else, I think you just need to learn how to be kind again, because the pandemic didn't help. We
No.
just sat behind a screen, and there's that barrier there with the screen,
Right. I
and
love it.
it's just different. It's different when you're actually there, and the world's kind of losing that a little bit. And I think amusement parks in general, are just places where we can try to get that back. So let's take those opportunities that we all have to just be kind, and it doesn't cost much. It doesn't
Right.
cost much to, even, people don't want to admit they're wrong anymore. Like, I never hear anybody say, "I'm sorry." I say I'm sorry 10 times a day.
I know it.
It's okay. It doesn't hurt you. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong to say you're
Um,
sorry. I don't know, just something that I notice is like people don't want to say they're sorry anymore. So
man, man, this is like completely gone
yeah, we're
for
nerding out. And what are we
for
talking about? What kind of
So anyway, the Ace Preservation Conference is the 25th through the 27th at Ride
Yes.
Playland, Adventureland in Long Island, Deno's WonderWheel, and Luna Park at Coney Island. So having been to three of those parks in the last year, still haven't made it to Rye, but
It's a great park. They do a great job over there. I used to know the previous owners when it was and they were good people.
nice. So if you're again looking for something to do after National Roller Coaster Day and you're an Ace member, I don't know if registration's still open, but maybe check that out too.
It probably won't be when this airs, but you
Close.
should have registered if you didn't. And if you did register, we're gonna have cupcakes.
Hey, cupcakes and roller coasters. What more could you ask for?
That's it. I mean, it's perfect.
All right, Dino. I want to get your let's put the fun hat on, and I'm not looking for hints as to what could potentially come in the future, but I want if money and well space
Oh,
is
do I
out.
get the blank check? Do I get the blank check question?
You get the blank check question,
Yes.
but you don't get the sandbox, like you can't go out over the boardwalk and build into the ocean, and
No,
you
no,
know
no. I want a practical blank check.
you have a practical blank check. But what is the one attraction in your mind that you think would benefit Dino's Wonder Wheel the most, and what do you want to see? What would you want to see built if you had just the blue sky blank check, but within the parameters of space in your park?
I would love an indoor coaster that has a launch, an LSM launch, kind of similar to maybe Space Mountain Paris,
Mm-hmm.
which is an LSM, I know, but something similar to that if I had the blank check. But kind of unpractical, not practical here in Coney Island, but I would like something that can go year round.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I'll tell you practically, not even blank check, is there's a piece of land that we can't afford and probably won't be able to for a very long time. But if we had room to expand on that piece of land, a space warp from Vekoma would fit very nicely.
Okay. See, now we're getting somewhere. That plot of land that's adjacent. Hopefully one day we'll
Hopefully one day, but that's depending on what our neighbors do. They might put 2 or 3 more coasters that could change the game. Then we would focus more on a dark ride or some other flat rides. Who knows?
yeah.
You got to work with the area. You got to work with your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not just up to us. We're a community here. And one thing that makes Coney Island special is we all do work together and talk to each other. We told Zamperla when we were building it, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. Just wanted to let you know because, we're not going to do it without, hey, surprise, we just built a coaster. No,
Hey,
that's not what we do here. We we work together. We actually have what's called the Alliance for Coney Island, and all the businesses.
Mm-hmm. It's
kind of like the Knights of the Round Table. Everyone has a vote.
I love it. And we
try to do stuff for the community. We do fireworks together on Fridays. Every Friday in the summer, we have fireworks, and that's something that everybody in Coney Island chips in for.
Wow. That's cool. And so when you say all the businesses, we're talking, not just you guys in Luna Park, but you're talking the aquarium, you're talking the Brooklyn Cyclones, you're talking
exactly
Nathan's
minor league baseball stadium. Yeah, yep. I mean, the Coney Island's become a really, really special place. Like I mean it. If I didn't work here, I'd bring my kids here. We'd go to a minor league ball stadium. We'd when my kids are older, we'll go to Ruby's Bar and grab a drink over there. We'll go to the beach shop and grab a T-shirt. We'll go on the WonderWheel, the Cyclone. We'll go to El Dorado Scooter. They have bumper cars over there. There's some good Mexican food here. There's lots of different businesses here. There's lots of different things to do for everybody.
Wonderful. And the last question I got for you before we wrap this up, your grandfather, he started with a hot dog cart, and one of the most iconic hot dog restaurants is at the corner of Surf and Stillwell, just right up the road. Stillwell spelled a little differently than I spelled my last name, but I'm not going to hold it against.
That's right.
So I want to know, how do you take your hot dog? What do you like on it?
So I usually do just mustard.
Easy.
Just mustard, easy. A little bit, not too much. I don't want to take away from the flavor. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we have the Coney Island Brewery. We have our own brewery here that they have excellent, like really good beers. Like they did a WonderWheel IPA this year that, and I'm not a big IPA person, but that was a good IPA. And they have some good beer too. So even if you want to come it's right by the ball field. So if anybody's in the area and they want to stop by a brewery, they're legit. I'm not just saying that because they're in Coney Island. Legit good beer. This
is awesome. All right. The final question is we've heard over the radio, and if you've heard in this podcast, you've got approximately, when we're recording this, about a month left in your season. So what's your pitch to get the Coaster101 audience out to Deno's WonderWheel and Coney Island in 2023, but if not 2023, in 2024? Let's hear your elevator pitch.
I'm not even going to give you a pitch. I'm going to just do what I did when you came. I'm going to ask you to ride it, and I'm going to ask your opinion of it, and I'm going to say, is it too janky? Should I shim it? Should we try to speed it up a little bit? What are your recommendations on what I can do to make this a coaster that you would want to re-ride? And whatever you tell me is something that I will probably follow through with that. If you're an outlier, I'll probably listen to the majority. But if a majority of people tell me, hey, it's running a little rough, smooth it out, I'll smooth it out. If it's running too smooth and doesn't have enough speed, then I'll go the other way. So whatever, if you come and, ask for DJ, everyone, that's the code, ask for DJ, because I'm Deno John, had to distinguish me from my cousin and my grandfather's name. But I'll come say hello, and we'll talk shop.
I love it. Well, try doing that at a Six Flags. Just going up and asking to talk to.
I think you can. I think Fiesta Texas is the only one that it's like my two favorite parks are Fiesta Texas and Dollywood.
Yeah,
so
that works. I mean, yeah. Jeffrey Siebert, he's somebody I've really wanted to get on the podcast with everything they're doing down there.
He's a good person and somebody I look up to.
I love it. Awesome. And then DJ, since we're on the initials first name basis now, if people are looking to learn more about Deno's WonderWheel, where can they go online to find that information?
Oh, you wait online at the boardwalk. That's where you go.
Okay.
Oh, the internet, the Internet of Things.
Yes.
That World Wide Web.
Yes.
Deno, I don't even know. DenosWonderWheel.com. I don't Google it.
I love it. Awesome. Deno, thank you.
Look up, get on the train, go to the last stop in Brooklyn.
Stillwell
You'll see
Avenue.
the WonderWheel.
It's too many L's in Stillwell.
Yeah, we spell it wrong. We don't know how to spell here. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I always watch the hot dog contest, and from the corner of Surf and Stillwell, and you got George Say in his straw hat. This is another conversation for another day.
Yeah,
but that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Coaster101 podcast. We highlighted a couple of times in the show, but go to coaster101.com, read the definitive rankings of the roller coasters of Coney Island that says Phoenix is the best roller coaster across those 11. It also says that Skyflyer is not the best roller coaster.
It's not the best. I think we agree. Listen, we don't necessarily agree with the number one, but I think we agree with the bottom.
That's fair.
I'll
Understood.
give you that. I agree with your bottom pick. Your first pick, I got to go with the Cyclones, though.
Okay, and that's even speaks more to that family and the partnership. It's like, you want to toot your own horn, but you know what's there.
I know it's there, and maybe you know what. Sometimes, like, same thing can happen to me. Sometimes you just get a bad wheel.
Understood.
It can ruin your experience. So you got to go back. You got to come back.
I love it. And follow us on social media anywhere you can consume it: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and whatever Twitter's calling itself these days.
Yeah, it threw me for a loop too. I was like, I don't know where we are anymore.
We're there. We're at Coaster101 anywhere you can find us. And then a huge thanks, as always, to Justin Mabry at JM Music Design for our theme music. Make sure you're rating us on iTunes and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all these other places you can like and rate and review, because the best way we're going to get great guests like Deno is for more people to listen, and to get more people to listen, we need those ratings and reviews. So make it happen. And like I said, that's going to do it. We will talk to y'all again soon. Deno, let's do this again sometime.
Anytime. Please come by. It's good to hang out with you in person, and great to hang out with you on here too. Thank you.
Love it. Thanks, Deno.